and it would be so unwise and unfair on this unborn baby to be brought in this world now. If you can condomize, please condomize. Let's not make babies out of tapalina plan. There's no plan. You have no plan at all for a child. And one thing about women is that when they know they want to keep a child, they will keep a child. And when you decide to keep the child, please own up to that child.
Muli Bwanji, Muli Shani Bonse, hey, Bane. This is the Unspoken Podcast, and I am your host, Chris Lay. Every week, I will bring you a hot, juicy, life-changing topic. So join me every Friday at 8 p.m. Links in your DMs. Make sure to follow me on Anchor, Google Podcasts, and Radio Republic. That is where you have access to the podcast. But hey, if you cannot access it on the app, make sure to go through it on the website. That is if you cannot access it on the app. Well, I will be waiting for your responses in the comments. Yes, links in your DMs, and do follow. So right now, let's go right into the episode.
You know how we take a moment of silence to fear women? Can we take a moment of silence for adulting? Yeah, because it's that real. Hey, the scam of adulting is so real. Yo. If you haven't yet started your adulting journey, I wouldn't advise. If you're still in school, you're still in university, utilize that moment. Utilize that time when you can actually call mom for money or call dad for money. Utilize that time, because when you're not there anymore, it's real. And for me, this is my second year of adulting, and it's hectic. Back then I would have time for this, time for that, but now I barely have enough time. I barely have time to do my stuff, like my creative stuff. It's really hard for me to get into my creative space. Even fitness now is a struggle. I now need to sit down and formulate a whole table, plan out everything of how, when I should, do something. Because it's really hard. But anyway, not moving you, not taking you far from what we are talking about today. Welcome. In case this is your first time, this is the Unspoken Podcast, and I am your host, Chris Lay. That is right. As you've seen from today's title, and for those who always listen, yes, the episode is here. I know it's taken a lot of time for it to come out. Like I've given a heads up already, like the adulting thing. I haven't really had time to just sit down and find time. And like I complained about in the previous episode, I've really been struggling with finding a location to just record, a quiet space, because where I live, there's not really a quiet environment for me to record a podcast, So yeah, I have to ask a friend of mine, and I have to use his space to just, record. So today's when I found the time. It was supposed to come out on Friday, but I apologize for it coming late. Yes. Okay, so as we've seen from the topic, it is Aborter'S Aquilas. And we're talking abortion today. The reason as to why I'm talking abortion today is because I'm going to give you like a backstory of myself. And I always like to ask, this is unspoken, so I like to ask questions that are not normally asked. And I ask myself a question, say, Chris, if you were to fall pregnant today, what are you doing? And for me, it's not even a question of, I have to think. No. I'm not thinking about anything. For me, I'm going to abort, period. Why? Because I'm just not in a space of where I can say to myself to say, I'll think about it. Think about what? And so since I'm not in that space of, being, careful to keep a child, I would just do my best to not fall pregnant. That is, I will do everything in my power to protect myself from that. And that is, practicing celibacy, practicing abstinence. These things are very real, and these are things that I'm also going to talk about in this episode. I'm going to talk about a lot of things that follow up, pregnancies and why people fall pregnant, and, why are people aborting. And there's these things, there's the whole pro-choice. I recently got this from one of one of our colleagues at work, and she's just very profound and her mind is very interesting. And she's the one who told me about this pro-choice and pro-life. I asked her just to pick her brain, and it was really good. She gave me a good description of, I'm pro-choice. For me, it doesn't matter whether you abort or whatever, or whether you don't. It's cool. I don't hate them. It's like you can be friends with homosexuals, but you just, not that you hate them and not that you agree with it, but then you're just okay with it. You're in the middle. Yeah. So that is what we're talking about today. And this topic came up because for myself, I can't keep a child now because of many other aspects. But so, and also, it also goes back to, I'm going to bring the law, because we actually have a law. In case you didn't know, we have the Act. This is Cap 304 of the laws of Zambia. Yes, I will make everything very simple. So I think abortion, Roe versus Wade. So Roe versus Wade is a case that's been there for the longest time. I love the fact that the lady in this, it's a lady and her doctor. Basically, this was the case that was there, Texas laws and whatever. If you have time, go read the case. This is a position that the United States have taken, and we've seen that happening in the time of Trump, when Trump came in and said, look, abortion is illegal. So now people are saying, should we overturn Roe versus Wade? I don't want to go into those details of Roe versus Wade. And so I just want to say that I think abortion, the Roe versus Wade is and was a move from legality to reality. You know what I mean? Because abortion was a crime. Abortion was wrong. It was illegal. And with abortion being legal in Zambia, by the way, in case you didn't know, abortion is very legal, all right? It would be safe to say that Zambia has no problem with abortion, period, in capital letters, bold and capital letters. Zambia has no problem with abortion. Seeing that we have a whole law that I will be referring to the law in this episode for those listening, and you are probably not Zambian or you are unfamiliar with the legal terms, I will try my best to help you understand the terms. So, but we... because it will be a long episode today, because I want you to understand what I'm trying to say, and I hope you actually understand, and I hope you see this episode for what it really is. Okay, so although, abortion is legal in Zambia, very few women know that they have the right to have an abortion, or very few of them know where to seek the care from when it comes to that. So many people out there, or probably you're listening to this and you didn't know that abortion is legal in Zambia. So that is, and unless women know the right places to go and get the abortion right. We've seen so many other states where, abortion is illegal in other states, and other states it is legal, and we see these hospitals, abortion clinics and whatever, and then there's all this hate from the church, there's all this hate from so many other people, and yes, so I've divided this whole episode in series, and I want to talk about the risks, okay? The risks of abortion, right? So some of the risks of abortion is that it's... Reading from the Reproductive Health Journal, I got this. Trust me, I did enough reading on this, and I wanted to make sure that I give you the right info, especially in expressing what I want to say. So, reading from the Reproductive Health Journal on Boomed Central, biomedcentral.com. Wow, that was my handwriting, by the way. I'm reading from my notes here and I read it as boomed. But anyway, so there's this journal on the biomedcentral.com. If you can follow this journal, it would be very helpful in case you're very interested in these abortion things. this is where I'm going to be, where I got the information from. So they used the law and abortion care by introducing abortion with medication to help many young and old women how to better care for themselves. So you can read more on the journal. I don't want to go into the details of what they were saying exactly, but there's some risks if you want to make a decision to abort today, or, you want to make a decision to abort today. You can actually seek proper care on a from a hospital or from these care clinics. Go there. It's nothing to be ashamed of if you've come to that choice, if you've come to that decision, right? So where to seek care from? So many are still prone to these so-called unsafe abortions because you're probably afraid of coming out and being open about the fact that, hey, I want to do an abortion, I want to abort. These things we normally call a friend who knows certain plants and whatever. So, and using these unsafe abortions advice causing unnecessary deaths. If you had to take time to go to Kitwe Central Hospital. I know this information because I have worked in my mother's office for I worked for a long time after graduating, and I volunteered in her office because she's a social worker, and her office normally counsels, it handles the GBV, it handles abortions as well. So we get a lot of cases of young girls who are doing incomplete abortion, or probably the child just didn't die. You know what I mean? The child just didn't die. So Zambia, among the women is in our country, ages 15 to 27 are prone to being victims, of these unsafe abortions, even when it is legal. Why do we choose to go the other route, which is unsafe? So for me, I'm thinking, is it because there's this stigma around abortion? It's like being sick of HIV. There's just so much stigma around it, and we stigmatize people that are thinking of doing an abortion, people that are contemplating abortion, or people that have actually been they've aborted. And I remember having a conversation, I think it was 2 years ago, and there was this thing of Aborter'S Achilles, and that's why I named this podcast episode today as Aborter'S Achilles, because I just don't think Aborter'S Achilles. Why? Because it is a choice at the end of the day. In as much as we want to bring the whole and don't worry, I'm going to bring the scripture here. I just want to make it very clear that aborters are not killers. They're not murderers. Yes, they have chosen to abort this child. They've chosen to, unborn baby, by the way, they've chosen to, but they have their reason. This woman has her reason. I don't think people that decide to abort do it for selfish reasons at the end of the day. You know what I mean? The reason as to why, and I'm very honest about this, if I was to fall pregnant today, trust, I'm not keeping any baby. Why? Because I'm looking at my life right now, and it would be so unwise and unfair on this unborn baby to be brought in this world now where I'm at in my life. Trust me. And I'm going to talk about all that. But first, I want us to peruse the act. So we actually have a law. We actually have an act. I didn't know this, I didn't know this. And I'm out here. I'm a lawyer, a law graduate rather, a paralegal, and you just don't know that there was a Termination Act. For a long time, I always thought abortion was illegal unless otherwise. And so we have reasons. So reading from Cap 304 of the Laws of Zambia, this is the Termination of Pregnancy Act. Yes. So I'm going to explain the sections and the law. And I was just analyzing, I like to read. And so I was just analyzing this act. So if you go to section 3, so when you're reading from the act, these are laws of Zambia that we have, in case you didn't know. And so the numbers, they're numbered in a way that we call them sections. And so section 3, subsection 1 is the medical termination of pregnancy. And so for me, my interest rather is on, so it reads as subject to provisions of this section, a person shall not be guilty of an offense under the law relating to abortion when a pregnancy is terminated by a registered medical practitioner if he and 2 other registered medical practitioners, one of whom has specialized in the branch of medicine in which the patient is specifically required to be examined before a conclusion could be reached that the abortion should be recommended, are of the opinion formed in good faith. So there's A, that the continuance of the pregnancy would involve, number 1, the risk to the life of the pregnant woman. So number 2 is the risk of injury to the physical or mental health of the pregnant woman. And number 3, risk of injury to the physical or mental health of any existing children of the pregnant woman, greater than if the pregnancy were terminated, or B, but that there is a substantial risk that if the child were born, it would suffer from such physical or mental abnormalities as to be seriously handicapped. So there's number 2 as well, subsection 2 rather, saying that in determining whether the continuance of a pregnancy would involve such risk as is mentioned in paragraph A of subsection 1, account may be taken of the pregnant woman's actual or reasonably foreseeable environment or of her age. So the list goes on, but I just pointed out that that's the whole section 3 of this act, and it is a medical termination of pregnancy. So I want us to go back to the requirements, and these are the requirements by law, that if you're going to have it, that sort of elements. So if you're going to have an abortion, these are things that you are supposed to have. So number 1, that if you were to continue being pregnant, all right, the reason as to why you want to abort. So there's normally a sheet of paper that you have to sign if you go anywhere, whichever hospital to abort. They give you a sheet of paper and you have to explain why, give reasons as to why you want to abort. And so number 1 is that is it going to cause, a risk of life of you as a pregnant woman, as a woman, is this pregnancy risking your life? Let's say health-wise, if there's normally that 50-50 kind of situation, do you have a medical condition that can risk your life? You have the choice to abort. And it is not up to anybody, but it is up to you. If you giving birth to the child at the time is going to risk your life on earth, then you are allowed to abort. And this is as is in the law. All right. So that's the first one. And then number 2 is that, is this pregnancy going to risk an injury to you as a pregnant woman or mental health? Now, if you saw my notes, I had to, photocopy the act. And in my notes, I really underlined mental health part. I really underlined the mental health part because I just didn't know that mental health, all right, mental health was, I didn't know that mental health was so important. You know what I mean? I didn't know, I didn't think it was so important, even in an abortion kind of situation. And a conclusion, is reached that abortion should be recommended. And there is a few things to take into consideration. And so the mental health, I think we have to understand what is mental health, because for me, the question I was asking was, to what extent does this law apply? To what extent does mental health apply? Because I'm going to give you an example. A definition. Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. So will you the continuance of your pregnancy, will it risk your mental health, that is your emotional health, in any way? My dear girl, you are allowed to terminate the pregnancy. Will your pregnancy, the continuance of your pregnancy, risk your psychological health in any way? You can abort. By law, you are entitled. You can do it. Are you in any way, will your pregnancy, the continuance of your pregnancy, affect your social well-being in any way? By all means, you are free to abort, because it affects how mental health affects how we think, how we feel, and how we act. And will this continuance of your pregnancy affect how you feel, how you act, and how you think? If it's going to affect these three things, if it's going to affect your mental health, your social well-being, you can abort. Because so it is a state of mental well-being that enables people to cope with, the stresses of life. Realize that their abilities to learn and work well contribute to the community. So for me, my question is, to what extent does the mental health aspect, my question to you, if you have the answer, you can answer. You can always, text me or just tell me, Chrisley, I think to what extent does this act apply? How far can it go? You know what I mean? Because mental health is a basic human right and everyone is entitled to it, period. Mental health is important. Mental health should be prioritized. And that is why certain things seem wrong. Many people know human rights are bad. No, to some extent, yes, human rights are detrimental, because now we're seeing people identifying as bags. We're seeing people identifying as shoes, or I identify as a shoe, so I want to be a shoe. We've seen people identifying as dogs. There is a man in some country who is a dog, literally. I panga chitet bear, nimbwa. You understand? So that's to the extent that human rights are just tarnishing, well-being and whatever. They've gone wrong, they've performed. But when it comes to things such as mental health, it is very important to put into consideration these things. And so we are still on the act, okay? We are still on the act. So there are certain, sorry, I'm just looking through my notes. Yes, so we've perused through the act, right? We know what the law is saying. And so numerous studies, dating as far back from the 1990s, identify the methods used across the country, such as ingesting toxins. And guys, I'm talking about these unsafe abortion things that we're doing outside, the unsafe that we're doing outside the norm. It's okay. It's okay to get a safe abortion. Unlike you ingesting toxins, inserting cassava sticks or in your cervix, people go that far. And so it needs to be safe. See a pharmacist. Even pharmacists, it's advisable that before you get the pills, there's these, I don't know if I wrote it down. There's these, tablets, people who are in the medical world, Miprophyne, something like that. When they are mixed together, they make an abortion pill. And so it's possible to have an abortion with those pills. So visit a pharmacist if you don't want to go to the hospital and ask for advice. It's okay to ask for advice. It's fine. You understand what I mean? It's okay. So I did talk about the Roe versus Wade, where it was a Supreme Court judgment. It brought the right to privacy. It brought out this ruling, this thing of the right to privacy, and which everyone is entitled to, and that gives and protects a person's right to choose whether or not to have an abortion. And that is what Roe versus Wade really was. And now, in the US, there's the whole thing of should it be overturned? But then I feel like it's no use. Kale, this thing happened a long time. This is a Supreme Court judgment that happened a long time ago. Why should we overturn it now. You know what I mean? So physical health, it applies, mental health applies, financial burdens, social stigma. And these are things now that I just want to now dwell on before we go to the spiritual side of things. Okay. Like you always know me, I always have that spiritual side of things because life is spiritual. Everything is spiritual. So I believe, and as you know, this podcast is built on a foundation of where we talk, biblical. We talk. It's God driven, rather, if I can say that. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the physical health, which I've already talked about. If you have any physical sickness or whatever, be it BP, shani, there's just so many physical things that, can't allow you to give birth to a child. You're free to abort. And then we come to mental health. Now, on mental health, I'm going to be very, very real with you. If, let's say, I have been raped today and I fall pregnant, trust me, I am not keeping that child. Whether or not it's what, kulibena, pakati, pachani, I am aborting that child. Why? Think about it. Think about it. Think about the people that have been raped before and they have to give birth. And how can you keep a child that was born out of a rape incident? You understand what I mean? Or because you are pro-life, or because you are too Christian. You are too Christian. You just can't do it. It's like the people that are still stuck in their marriages because they believe that they're too Christian to divorce. But then you're suffering. What are you doing? And I find that very pointless. Why stay in something that's not yielding any fruit? At the end of the day, and I don't know if you follow that scripture very well in the book of John. Jesus says, I am the vine. And you are the branches, right? But then if you're not yielding fruit as a branch, if your leaves are not yielding any fruit, I'm cutting you off. So why the hell would you stay in a marriage that's not yielding any fruit? Or because you're too Christian? You understand what I mean? Anyway, so I'm just saying, so there's a whole lot of aspects to this. There's a whole lot of aspects to this. Another aspect that we could see is, you can't. I don't know how human you are, but I can't keep a child from rape. I just can't. I can't have a child that's born from a rape incident. So that's the mental health aspect of things that I'm saying. And also generally, if you're just not ready to have this child, you are not ready to have a baby mentally, you're still in school. Let's say you were still in school. You're still in school. Okay. You're young, you're 15 or you're 12 or you're 13, it's a Sarah Jakes, and you just don't have the grace that Sarah Jakes has. Sarah Jakes was so young. If we know TD Jakes, TD Jakes' daughter, Sarah Jakes, Pastor Sarah Jakes, she's married to Pastor Torrey Roberts. So this young girl, the daughter to a bishop, a renowned bishop, fell pregnant at 13 years old. And you're just saying, like, look, Chrisley, I don't have the Sarah Jakes grace. Sarah Jakes was 13 when she fell pregnant and she kept the baby. She did not abort it. She kept the baby. And the boy is a big boy now. And for her, that is her story. That is her testimony. She's telling that. She's encouraging many women in that. And I like what she's doing. She's building. But then you're just saying, Chrisley, look, me, I don't have a Sarah Jakes grace. You're thinking about, there's so many other aspects. There's so many other aspects to this. I just can't, my dad he won't welcome me. My dad will, yell at me. My dad will do that. My mom will do this. My dad will do that. I'll bring shame to my family. I'll bring shame to my home. And in case you're in that space, and you feel so deeply that having or keeping this baby is going to make your mental health, your mind, it won't be straight. It won't be in order. My dear girl, you can abort. You can abort. I'm going to play you an audio. A friend of mine, I'm pretty sure she's going to say everything. I'm going to play you an audio. And that is just a friend of mine just airing out giving you an experience. I'm not going to say her name because, we want to keep her identity hidden. But she was a friend of mine. She still is, rather. And I hadn't talked to her in years from the time I graduated, of course. She was my senior. And then, she opened up to me. I think I was 18 at the time, and I was ministering something in church. And after that, she came to me, and the title of the message I was saying is "Don't sit on your sin." And after that, she came to me and said, "Chrisley, look, I want to open up to you. This is what I have to say. I don't know how you're going to look at me after this, but this is what I'm going to say." And she came out and said, "Chrisley, for me, I've kept this for a very long time. I have not told anybody. You're the first person I'm telling. And, I've aborted before I aborted." And trust me, for me in that moment, that was 2018. For me in that moment, I was like, wow, someone she's opened up. She's expressed it. She's opened up, she's cried out her heart, and I was there to listen. And so, yeah, I'm going to play that for you, and we'll come back together. We'll liaise. So I hope you're going to enjoy the audio, and I hope you're going to learn one or two things from it.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to everybody listening to me. It hasn't been an easy journey, so to say, because the time I was at uni in my second year. Then that's when I discovered I was pregnant. I was scared, actually. I was scared. I knew if my parents found out that I was pregnant, that would be the end of me. That would be the end of my education. I wasn't willing. I wasn't ready to have a baby because I was in school. I wasn't just ready to have a baby because I was scared. What would people think? Like, what would my relatives think? My mother, my father, my friends. That was in 2018. Somewhere 2018, June, July. So I think that's when I got pregnant. And then, it was really tough. Like, I discovered I was pregnant, and the person who impregnated me was not financially stable. And then it was really hard. Like, everything was hard. Then the other thing that made me abort was, one, I didn't want to drop out of school. Like, I was thinking, because if I keep this child, meaning I have to drop out of school. The second one is, even the person who impregnated me was not even financially stable. Like, he was not stable. So I couldn't keep it. Like, I knew if I dropped out, my parents would not take me back to school. Yeah, so I think that's one of the reasons why I aborted. Yeah, I was just really scared. Most importantly, more especially, I was scared of my parents, actually, and what everybody would think. I was in second year in school, and then I get pregnant, and then I drop out of school.
See, I don't like this at all.
I don't know. That was really tough on me. It was really a tough decision, but I had to do it anyway. Like, I really had to do it because of the things that I've explained. My parents, my education, the person I was with was not financially stable. Yeah. And then after I aborted, there was just that guilt. There was just that guilt in me, like, I have actually killed someone. Like, where I would move with it, it really disturbed me. Like, I really felt bad about it, but I had no choice. But I really, 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 really felt bad about it. Like, everywhere I went, you know where I just keep on thinking about it? Okay, I aborted. I killed someone. I'm a murderer. Like, God will never forgive me. I'm just a sin. And then what made it worse? Like, what made it everything worse? I was a church leader at school, like I was a church leader. So that made everything worse. Like, I was one who was always in front. I was one who was there. It's either I'm doing one or two things in church. It's either I'm giving announcements, like that really, 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 really made me feel bad. You understand? Like, it used to eat me up inside. I would cry silently. I would just be quiet. I would be absent-minded and everything, to a point whereby I couldn't share with anybody. I couldn't share with anyone because I was scared. What if I share with a church mate and then they think, okay, this person is the one who stands in front and this person did this person aborted, like I feel like I would actually feel bad about it, if I heard other people talking about me. So I kept it to myself because I was scared of people judging me, people calling me a sinner, Like, I was scared to talk to people. You know how people would judge you, how people would talk about you, how people would paint you black. When you are a Christian, you're found in front, you teach the word, you do one or two things, everybody would think, oh, you are perfect, you live a perfect life, just like that. So I couldn't actually talk to anyone. And then there was one time Clisry was sharing something on I don't know, I can't really remember the message Crystal was sharing on, but I feel like we went to the fellowship and then she talked about something. Then from that time, I feel like she's the only person I opened up to. Like, okay, this is what I did. I feel like she was also shocked, like, Mary, but she never judged me, she never condemned me, she looked beyond the abortion. Like, she just showed me love. And the most important thing that I appreciate is after telling her, like, I never heard it from anybody. Like, I literally never heard anyone talk about me. No one asked me about it. Like, I never heard anyone talk about it. It's like she never actually told anyone. Like, I never heard her say anything. Like, I don't know, but for the fact that nobody asked me, nobody questioned. Obviously, university, if you tell somebody something, the person tells somebody, everybody knows already. Like, nobody knew about it, And then now when it comes to my Christianity, like my Christianity life was shaken. You know what happened? I kneel down. Okay, I want to pray. Immediately, I want to pray. Boom! It will come to my mind. You are aborted. Lord, I will go for prayers. I will go for prayers. I'll start praying. It comes to my mind. You are a sinner. You just aborted. You are not a good person. You are a horrible. All those 100 thoughts in my head. You are a horrible person. Like, it was bad. Like, so it affected my spiritual life in a way that, one, I stopped praying because I was like, even if I'm praying anyway, I'm a horrible person. I stopped standing in front. I became less of, I just used to sit at the back, listen to the word of God. When the man of God is done praying, I also move out, I go. Like, it really affected me, my spiritual life more especially. Like, I couldn't pray. I couldn't do anything, But after that, I just discovered that we've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. I just accepted it that, okay, what I aborted, yes, but I won't dwell in this sorrow. I won't dwell in this pain. I have to move on. Life must continue. There is life after my abortion. I just made a decision. I prayed about it. I asked for forgiveness. I told God, this is what I did. And I really feel bad about it. Like, I feel bad that I did it. God, I'm really sorry. And I don't want to dwell in this pain, in this guilt of mine. Lord, help me. Give me peace. I started praying about peace. Lord, give me peace. Lord, give me peace. Lord, give me peace. And eventually, God gave me peace. Like, I just started feeling this peace in my heart. Like, okay, yes, okay, it's not like I really, even right now as I'm talking, sometimes I really think about it at all. I did such a thing, but I'm like, life goes on, yes. Like, yeah, I really did such a thing, but life goes on. Like, life goes on. I can't still dwell on the mistakes I made. Like I accepted and I made a decision that, Lord, I'm not going to dwell on my past. I'm not going to drown myself. But Lord, I have accepted that I did this, and God forgive me. And surely God forgave me, because He gave me peace. He gave me peace. He gave me peace. That peace came with a lot of things. So, like right now, I do a lot of things. I'm back to me. I do a lot of things. I'm able to pray. I'm able to stand, preach to people. I'm able to talk to people. I'm able to encourage people. I'm able to do a lot of things because God has just given me that peace. That peace. That's how awesome God is. But right now, I'm very fine. I'm fine. I'm very fine. I'm okay with my walk with God. I'm back on track. Such things, I feel like, yes, I have healed. Yes, I've healed from everything. Yes. But I feel like sometimes I just think about it. Oh, I did this. Oh, okay. Okay, I did this. Oh, okay. And not always. Like, it's just a thing that pops up once in a while. Like maybe when you see something, or maybe when you watch something similar, when you be like, I did this before, but God has taken over. And I would advise those maybe who've been in the same shoes like me. You are pregnant, you find out you're pregnant, you want to abort. I would actually say don't do it. Others die from the same abortion. I've heard people say, I aborted. And I've heard people say, that person aborted, she died. Like abortion is very, 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 very dangerous. And I wouldn't advise anybody to do it. So, my encouragement is, even if you find out that you're pregnant, please talk to people from church, talk to your parents about it. Don't abort. Don't choose that way. A child is a blessing. And for those who've aborted before, like me, my encouragement is, you have already done it. You cannot dwell in your pain. You cannot drown yourself. But all you need to do is make a decision. Confess to God. Tell Him to give you peace. Tell Him to say, Lord, I know I sinned against you. I know what I did was wrong. But Lord, all I ask for is a second chance. God is a God of second chance. He will give you a second chance. He is just that. He's just that good. If you've done it before, don't dwell on it. Pray for peace. Pray for God to give you a second chance. And God will surely give you a second chance. And do not, even if you did that, do not run away from the face of God. I feel like that's the best time to get closer to God. Like when you did it, like I did it, I ran away from God. Actually, but I'm encouraging you who has done it and you feel like you are a sinner, God does not love you. I feel like the best thing to do is run to God, like go in the comfort of God. Yes, I feel like that's the best thing to do.
You send me the documents now.
Yeah, I think that's all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
And God bless you.
I hope you got one or two things. I know it was long, but it was worth it. All right. I hope you've gotten, something from that. And I just want to show you that there is people out there who are living it. There's people out there who are stigmatized, who are shamed for this. Like you can't move on from it. You are an aborter. You can't recover. And I want to show you that there is someone out there who is healing from it, who has healed from it. And in case you're in that position, there is a somebody, and I hope you will share that part of the audio and show someone and encourage someone with this episode, to be very honest with you. So now we're going to go to Financial burdens. So we are still on the reasons. Number one, we said physical health, mental health. And then I've played you an audio from a friend of mine giving you an experience. Now we are going to the financial burdens. If you can condomize, please condomize. Let's not make babies out of Tapalina plan. There is no plan. You have no plan at all for a child, and you are making babies. You are making babies. Let me tell you, it's very bad to be a parent without a plan. Period. If you can condomize, condomize. If you can abstain, abstain. If it's not too late to be celibate, I'm telling you the truth. It's not too late. Whatever age you're at, it's not too late to be celibate. Or better yet, you can get yourself, if you can't stop having sex, it's better Maivika Kopa IUD for girls, ladies, give yourself an IUD or something. But let's stop procreating without plans. Children are not games. Children are not toys. Children are cute, yes, but they're human beings and they need to be planned for. Children need to be invested in. You understand what I mean? You need to, and by the way, they are not investments, but you need to invest in their future. Children need to be planned for. You need to start creating trust funds for your children. And I'm going to have a whole topic on this. You understand? So making babies should not just be a hobby. Making babies should not just be, hey, no. You're not being a Kim Kardashian. Of course not. You're not being these rich guys or celebs who can have babies 10, 12 because they can. And trust me, their children are not suffering. Of course not. You understand? But you are you. We are here at home. We are in Zambia. And one thing that I've just noticed is many children are not planned for. Many children in Zambia are not planned for. Maybe a few. But the rest of us, we're not planned for. You understand? And I'm not saying that, these mistakes that happen are bad. No, it's okay. Children are born out of love and they should be loved. But what I'm saying is, if you can control it, then control it. Make the right choices. All right, make the right choices. So, financial burden. If you feel like this child will be a financial burden, you are free to abort. Because it would be so unwise of you to keep a child and you have no plan at all for this child. It will be very unfair on the child. It will be good in the moment. But then let's imagine you're just bringing a child to pain. And also on top of it, you don't even know who the father is. Bro. Better off mwana afwa than being born and coming on earth to suffer. Anyway, this is just my mind. This is just where my mind is. And not that I'm saying I'm on the side of people that actually do abortions. Of course not. You're also not. Look, the fact is you've murdered a destiny. So already what you've done is bad. But then I'm not shaming people that actually decide to abort. I'm not giving a pat on your back and saying, well done, you've aborted. No. But at the same time, I'm not getting a whip and whipping you with it and say, hey, you're an aborter. You should be damned. You should be what? No. I'm not doing that. But what I'm saying is you should have made a better choice. But since you've already done it, what's the way forward? You understand? We can't take it back. We can't take back. People that have aborted can't bring back their kids. They can't. We move on and stop making them feel like they're the worst people on earth. Of course not. So we're now going to the spiritual side of things. So now we have all these views, all right? And I have always asked God, what is your take on this? What do you think God thinks about aborters? In my view, the first question comes back to, number one, why have sex outside marriage? If you knew you'd fall pregnant, why have unprotected sex? Why have unprotected sex? And why have sex outside marriage? Because the fact is you knew you were going to get pregnant. And now you've put yourself in this position where you have to now abort when you could have avoided that in the first place. You get me? You could have avoided that in the first place. And in my view, I feel like that's what God is asking. God is not short of creating human beings. God is not short of, no. But let's not forget, yes, he is merciful, and trust me, he loves you. If you've aborted and you're listening to this, God loves you. He doesn't hate you. He loves you. Actually, his mercy is on you, and he actually feels bad for you. His heart, I think, breaks for you that you had to go through that when you could have avoided that. So again, it goes back to the choices we are making at the end of the day. All right? So many say there's justice on abortion. Is it though? Can you justify abortion? And please, this is not a podcast. This episode is not justifying abortion. Oh no, I'm not justifying it. Is abortion justifiable? N-O, bold capital letters. All right? If you're Christian and you call aborters killers, and you share in the hate speech, you share in the stereotype, you share in the mockery, then I would admonish and advise you to check your faith. To be honest, if you are out there sharing in the hate speech of abortion, aborters are killers, you are sharing in that, I think you have to check your faith, because I don't think Jesus is actually who you listen to. Because all Christians and believers were encouraged by the word of God to show and display radical compassion to all, in capital letters, ALL, to all women who find themselves in frightening pregnancy situations. You understand? We're supposed to show compassion to all, including to women that are finding themselves in frightening pregnancy situations. Exhibit A, aborters. Corinthians 6:14 says that we do all things in love. However, this is very important, especially if you're a believer. We have to be very careful what sort of compassion we show such women. So there's a thin line with accepting abortion and not tolerating it. So we have to show them compassion. At the same time, we are supposed to show them that, look, you've done this. Yes, we don't hate you, but we want to show you that what you've done is wrong still, but we still accept you. But be careful enough to show them that what they've done is wrong. That is where the thin line is, and that's where the confusion and all hell breaks loose. But then the compassion that the world shows is to encourage them that an abortion is okay, so that they can follow their dreams and be successful. That is the compassion that the world shows. So we have to be careful which compassion we're showing them. Is it the one that the world is, inciting of us? And the compassion of the world is to say, yes, abortion is right. What I do with my body, that's my body. My body is my body. Such things, so that they can, continue, be successful, continue to, for selfish reasons. But the compassion that the Bible shows us, or the compassion that God gives us, is to link arms with women and help them to believe that they will be great mothers. So for example, if you know a woman that wants to abort, she's contemplating on abortion, you as a Christian, you as a believer, or you as a human being, or you as a person, you have to hold hands with these women, because trust me, they're frightened, they're afraid, and you have to show them that they're going to be great mothers at the end of the day. Because the fact is, you chose to be pregnant. You made that choice, you made that decision. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. Sex is never a mistake. Sex is sex. It's consensual. You chose to be pregnant. However, now you are pregnant. What next? You understand? And now you're in a battle of you want to keep this pregnancy or you want to abort it. And when you actually come to the point of abortion, you have to know that even as you are making that decision, it's wrong. And it's bad because you're destroying a whole destiny. That is why choices are very important. It's very important the choice you choose to make. So God places value on life, by the way, in case you didn't know. And that is even in the womb. So the whole debate, I don't even agree with those people that say the embryo, it wasn't a human being when it was, it wasn't life, but then life is considered life at conception, right? So he has compassionate care for the preborn, those who are in the womb. Because if you read from Jeremiah 1:4-5 and Isaiah 49, you will realize that destinies were made in the womb. God told Jeremiah, I knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. Meaning he had a connection with that child's destiny even whilst in the womb. We have the story of Elizabeth and Mary when they met, and then, the baby leaped for joy in the womb. That is to show you that God places value on preborn, the babies in the womb, because the moment you conceive, a destiny has been created, a life has been formed. It's registered that, there's a life that has been formed. And now a plan has to be made. And then now you want to take that away. You want to take that away and destroy a whole life. So, do not misquote me. God is not happy with abortion because it matters to him and he takes it very seriously because that is a life in the womb, all right? So, God sees life from the moment of conception, the fact that he can form a relationship with his people from the womb. It's very important. So I'm sure now, we've read Tafika Mali, the magic. Okay, Chrisley, now you're confusing me. What are you saying? Where's your stance? What are you saying? Is abortion right? Is abortion wrong? Abortion is wrong. That is my stance. However, there's nothing we can do about an abortion that has already happened. Bachitika kudara. Am I going to hate them? No. I'm not going to hate them for their choice. So I'm pro-choice. They chose to abort. All right? But hey, do I support them? No. I don't support aborters. Of course not. I'm not giving them a high five. I'm not giving them a, well done. No. I'm not doing that. But hey, I meet a sister and I know she's aborted. I'm not hating her. I'm not yelling, hey, why did you do that? No. I'm going to be like, okay, you've already done it. But hey, I want you to know that, to understand that you destroyed a destiny. You killed a life. But it's okay. You did it. Just make sure not to do it again. That's what I'm saying. So this whole hate speech, hate crime, hate whatever that we all go about calling aborters killers, no, let's stop that, especially if you're Christian, especially if you're a believer. We have to represent God right. We have to represent Jesus right. And God, as believers, has given us the love, his love, for us to share to the rest of the world. We have to be different from the world. We have to be different from what the world says. It's like a believer that says, I don't know if homosexuality is a sin. Excuse me. And that's exactly what Mike Todd said on stage, bluntly. He said, I don't know. You're asking me? I don't know. And this is a lead pastor. So for me, you can imagine, I'm there like, hey, it's clear in the Bible, you shall not have or engage in same-sex relationship, period. The fact that it's happening now, okay. But then let's give God who he is. He is the I am. Let's stop misrepresenting God. And God is not out there calling aborters killers. But we're going to call a spade a spade. Abortion is wrong. But then let's not forget who we serve. He's merciful. He's not out there hating them. He's not out there blaming them. He's not out there bashing them for being so bad. And no. We have to show compassion to all men, regardless of who they are. But let's be different. Someone has to identify that this is a Christian, this is a child of God, and that is just a person of the world. Why? In how we do things and in how we speak, even what we say in public, even just these opinions we give, it's very, you can tell a lot. You can tell a lot. And for me, it pains me to hear a Christian saying, homosexual people make me sick, or I would puke to be in the presence of a homosexual. And you are a believer. You call yourself a believer. You preach in church. You do this, you do that, and yet you're saying, I would puke to be around homosexual. First of all, go back to your Bible. Who was Jesus found with? Jesus was found with prostitutes. A prostitute wiped his feet with her tears. Excuse me, who are you? How great are you? Jesus was found with thieves and tax collectors. Matthew, his disciple, was a tax collector. By the way, in case you didn't know. So let's be very careful. And this is why I made this episode. Let's be very careful with what we say. Words like aborters are killers are bad words. They're not even words God would say. So who are you serving? This one is going to the believers. Who do you serve? If such words are coming out of your mouth, really. And then for those people that want to abort, I just want to say, okay, provided you have all these requirements, as we've said in the law, no problem. Do what you want to do. But the next time, make sure that the choices you make are right. And if you've aborted before, I want you to heal and move on and stop blaming yourself and stop looking at yourself in shame. In fact, share that story. Make it a testimony and encourage other women to be careful. Because I'm telling you, we have to be careful. These lives, children, they're not games. Sima games, they're not, you just don't wake up and say, I want to have a child. Excuse me. That's a whole life you need to plan out. That's why so many kids today are traumatized. Why? Because of the trauma that probably the unplanned parent was facing, didn't know how to deal, and then you push it onto your child. Now your child is grown up and is having all these emotions, anxiety, depression, shiny. Why? Because, in August, I'm going to be doing a theme. The theme of our episodes in August is going to be family. So a lot of the topics I'll be doing are going to be family topics. In the next month, July, is going to be the world of the married. So I'm going to be talking a lot about, can I fall in love with a married man? Such topics. Yeah, I'll be talking about that, these married men, whatever, all that. I'm going to be talking about that in July. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. So I'll dwell more on those things. But otherwise, guys, I do hope you've enjoyed this episode. Also, for me, it's not enjoyment. For me, it's getting one or two things and you've learned something. There's something that I wanted to say before I can close. Before I can close this episode, I don't know if we've watched Sex Education. There is a girl called Maeve, right? And Maeve in the series, aborted. She fell pregnant. Okay, she used to have sex with this guy in school, and by the way, this guy, they were just sex buddies. You understand? It wasn't anything meaningful, and they had unprotected sex by default. You understand what I mean? It was the choice they made, and so she fell pregnant. Now, I understand. Watching it from my view, I understand why Maeve had to abort. Because imagine if she was in high school. 1, 2, she came from a broken and wrecked home. The girl was practically an orphan. Number, she didn't have money to. She barely survived on her own. She had a mother who was always a drug abuser. She had a young sister to take care of. She was practically an orphan. She was taking care of her young sister. She was literally taking care of her own mother. The brother used to just come in, steal money from her, go. And she was this brilliant kid in high school. And then, she was so much opportunity was going to come. But then now this baby, I don't know if it would have been wise. She thought about the fact that she wasn't ready to be a mom. And it would have been so unwise for her to keep the child. Because where would the child be staying? How would the child survive? That's where now we see a lot of baby dumping going on. And for me, I don't like baby dumping. Why keep a child for 9 months and then dump them and then take them to an orphanage to suffer? Why? When you could have avoided that in the first place. And for me, I'm saying, if you can abort. Why allow that child to suffer? That's why we have so many street kids in the roads. Why? When you could have avoided that. If you know you're not ready for something, it's okay. It's okay. And for me, that's my view, period. And one thing about women is that when they know they want to keep a child, they will keep a child. And when you decide to keep the child, please own up to that child. Raise that child proudly. Don't come and start making that child feel like they owe it to you. No, you chose, Shem. You chose. And so this is how we're going to end this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. I apologize. It's long, but it had to be done. And I'm glad that it's done. I hope you are anticipating on the next episode. I don't know what the topic is. I'm in a dilemma of which topic I want. But hey, have a good day. I do not know if you're listening to this in the morning, afternoon, or evening, but be blessed and stay up for the next episode. Also, I have some good news. You can listen to this episode as well on YouTube in case you can't access it. But hey, it's always on Anchor right here. Chrisley Manokumawa out.